Hello, everybody, and welcome to season 25 of Beyond the Ordinary Show. And God, it seems like forever since we've been on calls and such a huge time of transition since we ended the season back in early May, maybe the end of April. I forget now. Time is so strange, as always. But here we are, and with new inspiration and really with an energy and the information to help us move forward in a new reality. And typically it's a new reality, but it's calling us into an awareness and a mastery of who we are. And going into that mastery requires not ignoring certain things about ourselves, including our physicality, how we handle ourselves, how we reconnect to spirituality, and then how we integrate that relationship with all those aspects of us and bring it into the wholeness that we've been seeking. And today's call is going to be so special. It's with a dear friend and just someone who I look up to tremendously in the way that she transmits this information, the heart that she carries it with, the compassion and the wisdom that emanates from her. And again, it's unbridled, just caring for all of us that she interacts with. So it's going to be a phenomenal call today with Theresa Vee. And if you're new to Theresa, you're just in for an amazing, amazing treat and a heart expansion. And again, a deep anchoring of wisdom. And Theresa's going to get into wellness for love warriors in the new paradigm. And this is a huge topic, y'all. That is necessary. And it's really part of what's stimulating our awareness, how our bodies are moving forward into the new energetics and how we can support this physical body in that. And it's necessary. It's necessary more than ever because we cannot ignore the wisdom and the intelligence that our physical bodies are demanding us to listen to in so many different ways. So we'll go deep in the conversation with Theresa, and let me tell you a little bit about her. And about what we're talking about today. So have you ever longed to find the strength in your sensitivities and to learn how to turn them into superpowers? Well, our speaker today is here to help, of course, Theresa Vee. And Theresa Vee works with spiritually led, empathic, and highly sensitive people, teaching them tangible tools so they can get out of their cycles of overwhelm and overgiving, increase their energy, and live more alive, on purpose, and fulfilled. She helps people to get back into the flow of the synchronicities and miracles that are their birthright, heal into the magic of their divine perfection, and live their purpose for being here. A visionary, a love warrior, and a fierce stand for peace, widely regarded as a presence of unconditional love. Theresa has been the leader of spiritual evolution for 20 years, reaching over 1 million people through her speaking engagements, workshops, readings, healing sessions, and classes. And we're going to get into a lot of questions. We're going to get into Q&A also. And before we get into all of that, of course, Theresa, I want to welcome you to today's call. Thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here with you on a new season.
And it's, God, Theresa, I could not wait for the season to start because the energy's been wobbly. There's been so much ups, then downs, then thoughts that I think are mine, but don't feel like they're mine. They're coming from different places. And how do I integrate what's true, what isn't true? How do I move forward? But it's not the past anymore. But why does the past keep coming up? And it just goes and goes and goes and goes and goes. And so it feels like it's more than just our minds doing this. It's more like it's a psychic, empathic awareness that's picking up on so much information at the same time.
Definitely. You just nailed exactly why it's so important right now that we take good care of ourselves. Like the angels have been saying since the year shifted, and actually since part of last year, self-care is no longer an option. It is now a duty, and that's where we are, major self-care so that we can weather these things that we're experiencing.
Yeah, well, with major self-care, we've done the self-care spiritually and the spiritual practices and, what we've called the spiritual hygiene in so many ways, really setting up good fields around this, keeping out energies that really don't belong to us, at least as best we can, or meditations, all these other practices. But for the spiritual community, and again, this has been so important for me personally, it's about really how do we take care of the wisdom of our body and get into this state of holistic wellness.
Mhm.
And so I'd love if you talk more about that and why it's even more important than ever for us to be vibrant and whole and nurtured in this way.
So important. And I think actually it's so interesting because the angels always like to change things up on me right before. So, but I think it's important for us to understand exactly what's going on, because we've all been feeling a lot of things that don't feel normal to us or don't feel like ours. So, part of what we're doing is we're feeling what's in the collective right now, right? So that's the first piece, which we know we've done that for a long time. But what we have to realize is when we're feeling these things that we don't necessarily want to feel from the collective, it's because the micro part of that is within us. There's something resonant there. So what part of it is ours? And where do we need to clean that up? And the reason for that is because that energy can't come into this new paradigm. It can't move forward with us. So this is, the universe's way of making us completely uncomfortable so that we have to address it. But there's also spiritual people are feeling everything they've prevented themselves from feeling forever. It's all coming up and out again because we can't take it with us into the new paradigm. So it has to go somewhere. And so I've been seeing this, especially in the last 2 days. This has been a big thing for people, and so when we're aware of these things, it normalizes it a little bit because we feel very alone. And then there's a third thing that the angels were just talking about, how we are feeling rage. We're feeling the rage because the spiritual community energetically was doing so much work to pull people through 2020. And now it's like 2021, let's go back to normal. And meanwhile, we're all sitting here like there is no more normal. Everything should be changed. Why are you not acting like you're different? So there's like this rage and this like we feel like we're not being thanked for a job or not being acknowledged, or like, okay, we got through this. Now you want us to do more, So there's a little bit of that too. And then the fourth thing that's coming up for people is that the life purpose, the path we were on, not needed in this paradigm in the same way. So what is shifting for us? What are we being called to now? What are we resisting listening to intuitively? And it's time to really listen. I love the guidance that doesn't make sense, because that's when it's not yours. And so, those big detours are coming for a lot of people. So it just feels important to know these things, because when we know them, we can move more quickly into, okay, let's take care of it. Let's take care of ourselves through it, rather than why am I feeling this? What am I doing wrong? What part of my practice is missing? And so, we can do very simple things, and aligning ourselves with nature for us, the sensitive spiritual empath. That's one of the first things, getting out in nature, paying attention to what's growing in our area and eating more of that, like really striving, going to bed when the sun goes down, getting up when the sun comes up, really aligning ourselves takes that much more. It takes that much more energy when we're not aligning ourselves with nature just to get through the day. And so these are important things that the world is providing us with cues for that we're not necessarily listening to.
Oh my God, there's so many questions I want to ask in so many different directions I want to take it in. Remind me to ask you about our connection with our guides a little bit later, because I want to get into that, because this is a big one for me. But
Okay.
Let's go back into these things that we've buried alive for so long, and that we're being thrown into the deep end with. As they come up, it's that they come from such a place of tenderness and vulnerability, and even an inability to take action with it sometimes, because it's been so suppressed.
Mm-hmm.
And as it can be empathic and vulnerable and sensitive, it's what do we do to move that, other than to bring awareness and to be with it, and normalizing by just being with it, because they're big blind spots that we haven't necessarily personalized the tools for ourselves in this particular aspect.
Well, that's the interesting thing. There's an aspect of ourselves that's coming with these things
Mm,
that has sort of shied away and been the background before, or that we didn't necessarily welcome into our experience because it was something that we learned was a character defect or was not acceptable by society. And so it's time for us to embrace that part of ourselves. So by being with it and sitting with it, we're looking at the feeling, we're looking at, the processing through it, but we might be ignoring that aspect of ourselves that's asking to be seen as well. So
mm,
it's almost like, for example, if we're feeling rage at something that we don't understand why we're feeling rage, like, so I've just seen this today, an example with someone, rage at the housing market and the way it is, and like there's just all of this rage coming up,
mm,
and there's an aspect that needed to be nurtured, needed to know everything was going to be okay, needed to have needs met, that was told to be quiet and not be too needy. And so that aspect, that needy aspect, is coming up because it's going to be needed moving forward, even though it didn't seem to serve before. It's saying, hey, I'm here, I'm ready to become one with you, to merge. And we're merging so many aspects of ourselves, so many pieces of ourselves now, so that we can move forward more whole. And
mm.
so that's the second piece, is the looking at it, the exploring it, the what is the gift that you have for me, processing through this, but also what is it that is part of me that I haven't acknowledged as part of me yet.
Oh, I love that. I actually had a conversation with someone, and it's from personal experience, I'm going to put it out there because I think it'll help. And it's like, I wanted like a clarification of something that I was included in this. And it came, well, it feels like what were the words exactly? It feels like you're trying to control and you're being needy. And then I sat with it. And first I got a little agitated for, what do you mean I'm being controlling and needy? It's like, no, I'm not being this. Like, I'm just stating something from a vulnerable state. It's like, hey, this is making me feel uncomfortable. And what I wanted was to be held. What I wanted was to be included. I wanted that comfort, but the words weren't coming. And then in the conversation, as it evolved, I looked at it and I go, you know what? I am being needy, but it's okay. I need this, and it's okay to request this in this way and to be met in the relational aspect of that. And something in me calmed down, and something that was so shunned ever since I was a kid, because being needy was something that took something away from somebody else. And then it's like this projection of all these other energies that you're trying to take something that isn't yours, but it's a simple request. It's a request to be met. And that's just one example. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
sure all of us have different versions of it, but just naming it and getting down to the core of the vulnerability of what it is instead of the defense of it, created a shift for me to allow something to me to relax, even though it was still uncomfortable afterwards. But the waters eventually smooth out once we have a relationship with it and hold it. So I love that you talk about this.
Yeah, and it's so empowering once we, you saw how the even the direction of that conversation shifted when you were coming at it from still shunning that piece of you, coming at it almost, I can speak for myself. Okay, I won't speak for you. It almost is like that energy of throwing a tantrum because we don't have the words for what it is we actually need. So we're just throwing energy out everywhere to try to get that need met versus saying, "Oh, this is a part of me that actually does need something." Okay, it's okay to need, and then you come at it from the empowered state of, I'm going to request this of you. So there are the words that you've been searching for, as opposed to the energy flying all over the place, trying to circumvent the actual feeling. And that's really what we're being called to, is to own more of that so that we can be clearer. That's a lot of why we're having such problems with our communication with our guides and our angels right now. That lack of clarity is because all of these things are like swirling around and we haven't owned them yet. So when we can get clearer here, we can once again become clearer here.
And you just touched on that communication that I wanted to ask you about, because it seems like for the last really for the last couple of years, for me strongly, this embodiment phase, like the energy coming down instead of me reaching out,
Mm-hmm.
embodying of wisdom, embodying of a higher vibrational awareness, if you will, or an intelligence that's evolving in me, and my connection to my guides. in the way that we communicate. And it's seemed like in the last year, but really came to my awareness over the last few months. It's like I felt like I've been so disconnected from the spirituality of my work and my life, and have been more in this, I don't know what I've been in this washing machine that seems to be tumbling all of us. Sometimes one day it's fantastic, then the next day I'm needy as can be. It's like, what's going on, right?
Yeah. Yeah. We used to have these experiences that were magical, right? When we first started getting into spirituality, especially, it was like, whoa, guess what just happened in my meditation? Or, I was meditating for 3 hours and didn't even know it, or I saw colors. And so one of my teachers always used to say, those are the carrot on the stick experiences, right? Where universe dangles the carrot on the stick in front of you and says, come on, if you follow the carrot, you get more, and you never catch the carrot. We're
Mhm.
closer. We're actually like holding the carrot. We haven't bitten it yet, right? So now we've got it. And it's like we've embodied so much of the spirituality that we used to have to go outside of ourselves for. I know everyone here has done so much spiritual work. I've seen the people that are showing up, and I know your community, I know my community. And it's our experiences now are coming from the living of that spirituality, coming from the walking this earth with the knowing and embodying the experiences that we've had in the past and bringing them into this present moment. We're here now to be present in this moment and
Mm.
to be the hands and the hearts of the divine on this planet. And that is what we're being called to. That doesn't mean these other experiences are not going to happen ever again, but more and more often they're coming from inside of us, and we're still looking outside to get that connection, and it's the guidance will come in the moment. It used to be you would sit down and you'd have this guidance that would come to play in the next week or the next month. Now it's like, what do I do? And you have to get really still and really quiet. And that's where the guidance is. And so it's super frustrating. And it can feel very lonely too, because what I have noticed too, to your point, is when there is a major shift going on for us, and or when there is a shift in guides and a new guide is coming in, we can feel like we've been completely left alone,
Mhm.
and we can feel like there's nobody there. And Carolyn Mace always referred to this as dark night of the soul and the changing of the guides. And this is happening for a lot of us too, because our purpose is changing, or the way, or the standing in that purpose and the way we show up, the way we're called to do it is changing. So we need a new team. And so I don't know if any of that feels true to you personally, but that's happening for a lot of people. So I just wanted to normalize it as much as possible, even though it's still painful and lonely.
Yeah, it's very resonant, and it can be very lonely making, especially as we're merging into the world. Also, it seems like if you want to get to 3D, 4D, 5D, all that, seems like we were stepping into 5D territory and kind of doing this back and forth thing. And it's more like we swayed back into the 3D, carrying the 5D awareness, but
Mm-hmm.
having these conversations from the inside instead of having these super amazing, experiences that would blow our minds spiritually. And then how to integrate that in a world that maybe doesn't have the languaging to it, or a community that doesn't have a languaging that you do, or a similar way of translating it. And so the relatability of it, and us again integrating back into a collective, it kind of throws us into a mix. And I think also that's why we're picking up on so many collective thoughts and energies as well, because the soup, we're all stirring in the same soup right now.
Yeah, it's the angels have been showing me. I don't know if you remember those toys. I don't even know if they still make them anymore. It was that wooden paddle that had the elastic band with the ball attached,
Oh yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah.
And you would just keep hitting the ball and it would never go anywhere because it was attached. So until eventually the elastic broke, right? This is what the angels have been showing me. This is what we're doing. We're the ball, right? The spiritual community is the ball. And the universe keeps hitting us into the 5D. And then we come back to the 3D with energy that couldn't be brought there, pick up energy from the 3D, bring it back through our process to transmute it, come back. So this is what's been happening. And this isn't going to be forever. This is just till we reach critical mass, where all of the people who don't have the languaging and don't have maybe the tools to do their own processing. This is what we've said. Let me be of service. Let me be used for the ascension. This is what we're being asked to do. And so they're just showing me this as you're talking, is that visual of that little ball going back and forth, and eventually what's going to happen is that the string is going to break. We're going to end up in the 5D and we're going to just be there. But for right now, this is what we've volunteered to do. And so we need to remember that too, because when we go into those low places and the why am I here again? And I swore I would never feel this again. I promised myself.
Right.
When we go there, we need to remember that we promised ourselves we would never feel that again. But we're now able to bring other people out of that feeling. And there's still a piece of us that has that trauma or that scar that needs to be brought through for healing as well.
I've had this conversation with several people, a lot of people like you, Theresa, very connected, very teach from the guidance, connected to different planetary systems, to the angels or whatever it is, but extremely psychic and very attuned in that way. And also to our membership community and having these discussions. And so many people are going through the waves of not only just a depression that comes in, it's like from one day to the next, it's like it's onset for 2 weeks laying in bed. It's just like comes in, and then even having like these fleeting thoughts of suicidal thoughts, or why am I here? If I left, it would be okay. And there's a critical mind that comes in, like the mind, the observer mind, that can come in and go, I wonder where that's coming from, because it's not real. But those thoughts are still flowing through somehow. And so it's happening to a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
I know,
Yeah.
because I've shared my experience, and other people are, me too. I'm having the same thing. It's like, what is this?
Yeah. I mean, I've had this conversation with at least 2 people today, at least,
Wow.
and so this is a common theme. And from what I'm seeing in the spiritual community, it's exhaustion, number one. We are spiritually exhausted. We are mentally, physically, emotionally exhausted from the last year and a half. We have been carrying so much on our backs and still taking care of ourselves in the process. But now it's a different energy, and we're sort of just feeling like, okay, I really need a break, but there's so much to be done, and it's like, okay, I don't want to do this anymore. So the other piece of this is we had an expectation of what the ascension would look like. We had an expectation of what it would feel like, and we forgot about the extreme discomfort that comes in the shift. And we've been through this before so many times. We've been through it at Atlantis, we've been through it in Lemuria, we've been through it in, the Renaissance. So those are just some examples. And it's that aspect that it's just like, we just can't handle it. We can't handle any more of the discomfort and the work. And so it's important to say, if you're feeling that way, first of all, reach out, because you'll find out you're not the only one, right? It's empowering, and it's really beautiful when we can connect and be that vulnerable and say, this is what I'm feeling, this is what I'm thinking. It's also important that we recognize that and give ourselves a break, give ourselves the vacation that we need. We don't have to constantly push forward and take the whole world, make it our responsibility for all the world to ascend, right? We don't have to do that. We just need to do what we're being asked to do when we're sourced enough to do it. And it's okay to say to our guides, I need a vacation. I am in a human body. You all forget that. I need a vacation. I need to replenish.
That's wonderful. There's a quote that came in, and I was pulling it up as you were speaking, because this speaks of the faith part of what's coming in. And because, again, we've gone in expecting a certain conclusion, expecting that once this happens, then this will happen, or having an expectation of what it's supposed to feel like. And it's not. We're in new territory. But this is from Ayada Shanti, who may be someone that you're familiar with as an author. And Ayada writes, faith is the withholding of a conclusion so that we allow what it is to arise.
Yeah.
And so we're really in that faith space with our spirituality in ways that I don't think, in the deep way that I don't think we've immersed ourselves in before, because we were so comfortable with the way that the structures were set up. And for me, it's a very feminine quality, because if you, all the conversation of the patriarchy crumbling and dismantling that's happened, and it's in the process of finishing to happen, there's a feminine energy coming in. And again, we're building with new energy. We're building with new conclusions in mind, but they can't be the ones that are based on the past. So all those parts of that foundation that we may want to try to build with have to be replaced. And so we've been asking for this, saying we can't
Yes.
wait for the patriarchy to fall. But guess what? It's fallen, and we're in the rebuilding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a couple. It's funny because the angels always show the visual of. They always say, "You thought you'd be linking arms and tra la 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 into the new paradigm, and you forgot about this part. Where there, it doesn't just new things just don't get built. You have to dismantle what wasn't working before, and that can be very painful. Even if we weren't attached to it in any way, it's all that we've known. So seeing all that we've known before being dismantled is actually just painful because it's been our point of reference. And I love you just said faith, and that's beautiful. For me, it's more, for me personally, it's more trust. Like I have to walk in the trust that everything is happening exactly as it should, even if it looks really crappy. It's like I have to walk in the trust that we've done the work, we're holding the energy, this is the way it needs to be. And then the other piece that we forget too is, like, we talk about the patriarchy, we talk about the feminine energy, absolutely true, all of it. The patriarchy, the masculine energy isn't just falling. The masculine energy is crumbling into its vulnerability. The
Mhm.
masculine energy has been asking to be held by the feminine for so long, kind of
Mhm.
like you were alluding to before
Yeah.
in your conflict. The feminine energy has been hiding for so long because she was shunned and she was made to feel ashamed. And now then she came back with a vengeance, like a tidal wave, and the masculine energy was cowering, and now then there was the fight and all of that's been going on. What the process we're in now is the dismantling, and then what happens is the balanced masculine, the balanced feminine start to intertwine for the purpose, because this is the new paradigm, for the purpose of birthing the divine child energy, which is where we're going. The energy of absolute joy, the energy of purity, the energy of happiness and abundance. But that can't happen if they can't both come to balance. And so this is where we are. And this is finding balance. We know in our own lives, finding that balance is very elusive sometimes. So just multiply that out by as many humans as are on the planet. And that's how difficult it is to navigate that balance. And so, we're going to be here for a little while, but it doesn't have to be as hard. We always move through it first, and then we extend the hand back to help those who are coming.
That's so wonderful. And I love the way that you're explaining this, Teresa, and bringing it in the grounded way, this really this scope of what's occurring right now. So as we talk about these and the shifts and the readjusting and rebirthing this inner child, if you will, um, how do we work with our body? Because our body is adjusting and going from a place where we were being swarmed with cortisol, where our adrenals were fatigued, where hormones all over the place. We were in overwhelm for such a long time, whether we knew it or not. Actually, it was occurring for so many. Sometimes in the back, sometimes we handle it well, sometimes not so well. But the body's speaking to us in different ways, and there's caretaking and a lot of compassion that's needed there as well.
Yeah. Yeah, so one of the first things I find for us is that we need to remember we have bodies. That's the first thing, because it's so easy for us to forget and treat it just like a vehicle to get the spirit around, right? So the way I love to look at the body is it's the temple that houses the piece of the divine that I am housing. And so when we can keep that temple as clean and pristine as if it were a temple we were upkeeping, that is the key. So remembering we have bodies is number one. Taking care of our nervous systems. Like our nervous systems have been, regardless of perspective and what we've been through for the last year and a half, our nervous systems have been on 11, right? And so just navigating every energy that's been out there. And so this is where we really need a lot of self-care with our nervous system. And I have a 1-minute meditation that I can teach that will actually help rebalance that very quickly. But it's also about knowing that when our body goes out of balance, when we start to move out of balance, the things that we crave to ingest are the things that will take it further out of balance. So knowing that about the human body is very key also. So even if it's something good, if we're craving strawberries day after
And
day after
Theresa, I
day.
think you've frozen on us. Let's wait for
Oh,
you to come back.
oh,
Oh, you're back.
I'm back. I don't know what happened. I saw you freeze too. So where do we leave off?
So we're talking about the body's intelligence.
Okay. Yeah. So the important things are to realize also that when the body goes out of balance, very often it will crave things that take us further out of balance.
Yes.
And that's the first thing, that's the surface level. But when we connect in with our body elemental, that beautiful being that has merged with us to give us every piece of information that we need to be as healthy, as vibrant, and as whole as possible in our physical experience here. When we can connect in with that being will tell us exactly what we need. So we need to move past the surface, almost into a meditative state to talk to that being, but also communicating with our body elemental helps us to tell it which kind of energies to take in and which ones we want to reject. So that also helps us to navigate our sensitivity more. And that's a relationship that we often take for granted and we don't actually use it to our advantage to navigate our sensitivity the way we could.
When you talk about the type of energies that it takes in, there's environmental energies, there's of course the etheric energies, but I'm also assuming that you're speaking of the food that we choose to have a relationship with and the water that we drink and the type of housing or how we set up how that environment is. Am I correct? Or I'd love
Yeah.
to expand a little bit more on that.
Absolutely. So, our body elemental will take in every energy until we give it some boundaries because it tries to process things for us, right? So if we say, you know what, I don't want to take in any energy that's a horror movie. It doesn't feel good to my system. Body elemental says, okay, no more. I don't want to take any energy in that's related to 5G. It really scrambles my frequency. Okay, no more. So now we're giving it boundaries. I don't want to take in the harsh energies of my neighbors who are always fighting. Okay, we're not going to take that in. So and it also will tell you need more of this color. You need to wear this color today. It depends on how you want to develop that relationship and what's important to you. We have such an innate intelligence, and because we are so sensitive, all these slight shifts can have major impact. If we're in pain one day, if we have a shoulder problem and it's really acting up and it's swollen, don't wear red. Your body will tell you not to wear red because it's going to magnify the pain. Wear a cooling color. So these are the things that we can just do. We can check in with ourselves. And so this also becomes a fun substitute for those experiences we used to have in meditation that were so magical. Now we can have them, within ourselves, and it becomes really fun. And these are small ways. Just think about that. We don't have to go, we're wearing a blue shirt instead of red. And now I can go through my whole day without feeling extra pain. So it's
So
amazing.
fascinating that you're talking about clothes and the colors and everything else because I've been inspired to like get rid of almost everything that I used to have in my closet. It's that energy doesn't resonate for me anymore. So there's like even changes like that environmentally. Like redecorating houses, doing other things, our wardrobe. It's funny how we're just intuitively, or our body's guiding us, if you will, to adjust to what serves us in a different way to meet us where we are now.
Yeah. Yeah. I just want to also go back really quick because the angels are showing it to me again before when you talked about us all being in the washing machine.
Mm.
They were showing me, we all go in as these rocks that we just picked up, and we come out as these beautiful tumbled gemstones, right? When we go to the crystal store, we want the really pretty shiny ones a lot of times. And that's what's happening to us right now, is we're in the tumbler and we're going to come out as these beautiful shiny gemstones that are moving into the 5D permanently.
I love that description. Your analogies there just off the charts. Thank you so much for that. Um,
Angels.
well, you and the angels, all of you guys. So thank you. And speaking of the angels, really the angels are also here to help us in making decisions. So you've provided as one of the bullet points for us and how we can ask our angels to assist in making decisions that align with our higher purpose, even when we're not really sure what our higher purpose is.
Yeah. Yeah, we can always check in with our angels and ask for guidance. So every bit of guidance we need can come through them. They will answer any questions we have. Sometimes it may not feel like we get an answer. It's just that the answer is not ready yet, or we're not ready to hear it. So we can always check in and ask, is this decision getting me closer to my purpose? And so chances are our purpose here is always related to love, right? So is this decision getting me closer to love? I'm not sure which way to go. Should I go A or B? They both feel good to me. And you can ask for communication in a dream. You can ask for a sign. You can ask for knowing. It depends on what your major thing is, but the angels will always give you the nudge. It's almost like you go from not really knowing to, in one instant, and you're sure. And then it's a matter of grounding yourself there instead of trying to talk yourself out of said decision, and we may not know exactly what our purpose is, but the angels can show us the individual steps, and they'll give us one step, and then they'll stand there and wait till we actually take the step. And then they'll say, okay, now we'll give you the next step. And they go step by step, because the big picture very often is very overwhelming, because we have no idea how we're getting it from here to there. It doesn't make any sense. So if they give us the little steps and we take action on them, which is, the masculine energy still needed, we need to take the action, then they'll give us the next piece.
That's wonderful. And again, it's good that it's working in this progression, which really brings us into a state of presence also. Because if we had it all mapped out, we'd be so far ahead that we wouldn't be here. And so that
Or
also,
we'd be paralyzed because it's too much.
yeah, it's too much, but it's also where we leave ourselves into the future, or leave ourselves for the sake of something else. And with what we're building now, that presence is so required. That stability of that presence. So anywhere we've left ourselves, where anybody has left us and it felt destabilizing, we're really getting the mirror back.
Mm-hmm.
Of hold on a second, come back to you, be present here, and build from this moment, this one step. As you take the next step, you'll be in that next step.
Yeah.
Of the 10 steps, you're going to be in step 9 or 10 or 8, thinking that you're there, and it's not the same type of building. And it's not the same type of intimacy that we're building into. And again, the compassion and the empathy that it engenders with it as well. Oh, go ahead, Theresa.
They're just saying, like, the future is the present. Like, the future requires us to be present, and that's it. Like, the future is just going to be every moment, and that's it.
Oh my God. It's talking about an adjustment for people who were so used to seeing into the future, right? Or trying or projecting that anyway. It's so huge. Theresa, I want to get into your 1-minute meditation that you mentioned earlier. Not just quite yet. A couple of questions for you, and I do want to open up for Q&A also.
Yeah, absolutely.
How do we connect with our angels? If we ask for this assistance, what's the way that we can open up that line of communication so that we can feel like we're being received somehow?
Yeah. Our angels will always receive us. So first of all, knowing, even if you don't feel anything at first, that they are receiving you, I'll tell you a little more about that in a minute, but it's important to just ask. The angels can't do anything if we don't ask. They can be there with us all the time. They can intervene if it's a matter of life and death and it's not our time to go, but they can't intervene otherwise because of our free will choice. So we have to ask them. And we can ask specific angels, or we can ask just for the right angels to be sent to us, depending. And it's really about asking like you would ask a friend to help you with something. You know, you're not going to be mean, you're not going to be nasty. You're also not going to worship them. You're going to ask with respect. You're going to ask with hope, you know, and just invite them to be part of your experience and to assist. They can assist with anything big or small. And then it's a matter of just being open to how that answer comes to you. I was just having a chat with a friend yesterday about all the weird ways answers have come, you know, and it's like everything from songs to, you know, the things being moved in the house to knowing to hearing. So it really also depends on how you perceive. And I love that. That's actually going to tie us right into what I'm here to offer, you know, with to our fans today. But it's really about learning and exploring how you perceive and growing your relationship with them so that you walk from a place of trusting and knowing, you know, like Archangel Michael will always say, okay, I heard you. How many more times are you going to ask for the same thing? You know, I'm on it. You know? So, and that's, they love being in joy and working with us and making us laugh because their purpose is to help us to be in joy and peace.
Oh my God, I love that you communicate in that way. So when you communicate in that way and you hear it back, how do you know the difference between the guidance and just your own thoughts?
Yeah, so my thoughts are never as intricate as the guidance. You know, my thoughts would be like, go get some ice cream. But the the guidance very often doesn't make sense, right? It either not that it doesn't make sense, but it's not something that you would think for yourself. So, and if that's not enough, the guidance will always come back. It will always come back, and angelic guidance and guidance from your guides who are of the light will always feel like it pushes you to a growth edge a lot of times. You know, it'll be like, I don't really know how I'm going to do that, but I'm feeling guided to do it. But it won't make you feel uncomfortable. Like underneath the mild discomfort of being in a growth edge, you will feel that the guidance is bringing you peace and that you know that it's true. And with our own thoughts, a lot of times those come from panic and fear and, you know, and just needing to do something next because we're uncomfortable sitting still. And those are the real differences. And if you're not sure, just don't do anything and just see how the guidance comes back, because then it will be true guidance.
That's wonderful. It's so good. The communication, again, the perception of it all and how we interpret it and then bring it into our next action or way to be or how we're feeling. So it's so wonderful. I want to get to the 1 minute meditation. I want to do that after we go through the
No
special
stress.
offer.
Yeah, no stress.
After the special offer. And I want to open the Q&A also because there's a lot of people already with their hands up. So why don't we go to the special offer first before we go into Q&A? So everybody, April is typing the special offer link into the chat box. You can find the chat box just right underneath Theresa's blouse on the screen, right next to participant. There you go, right down there. And it's being typed in. You can also find it by going to opening up a new browser in your computer. I'll speak this into existence and go to beyondtheordinaryshow.com/Theresa25, and it'll take you to that same special offer that Theresa's created here for us at Beyond the Ordinary Show. And Theresa, if you would guide us through what people are going to receive when they get to dive in with you.
Awesome. First, I just want to say hi, April, and thank you. I didn't get to talk to you today. So, so there was that. So this is the Summer Evangelic Support Package, and I had no idea how relevant this was going to be until now, because this is really what we're talking about. So the package includes the Miracles Everyday Meditation Package, and that's 3 different meditations to move us more into this energy that we're being called to be in. So these can be used as often as possible to bring you into your version of truth, to bring you into trust, and to increase your capacity to be held and receive everything that the universe holds for you as your birthright. So that's important. The second piece is the Meet and Heal with the Angels workshop. And I'm so excited about this because people have been asking for this for so long. And this is a 3-part series where we'll meet like this on Zoom. It'll be video and live. And we will move into meeting various archangels. You'll have your own experiences with them. You'll learn how you experience and interpret their energies. And you'll have your own conversations and receive your own healing gifts and inspirations from them. And we'll be traveling as a group, but having individual experiences. So we'll be able to go much deeper and have much more intricate experiences with those angels. So at the end of the series, you will be able to recognize which angel is there, and you'll know which ones you resonate with and who to call on for what. So I'm so excited about this because I'm just thrilled to bring it to the community because people have really been asking for it for a long time. So
Wow.
beyond excited. And then there's the live Q&A session that will be at the end of July, and you can get on the Q&A session and ask me anything about my own life, anything about angels, wellness, joy, whatever it is. It's a totally open book session where you can ask anything, and we'll channel messages if need be, or we'll just answer your wellness questions depending on how you show up. It's going to be really fun, and it's a good way to connect with community and have some laughs and just really gain some wisdom about yourself and where you are. And then the 4th piece is our Angel Transformation Hour for August. So that will be a session where we'll be on a call and the angels will channel information for where we are at that time. And then they'll take your personal questions and answer your personal questions throughout the rest of the call. And these calls are very powerful. I see tremendous shifts in people just from being on this call and having their question answered or hearing someone else's question answered by the angels about a concern that they were having. So I'm thrilled to be able to bring you the Summer of Support package, and it's priced at $97. So I am hoping everyone can participate.
Yeah, $97. We have a 2 payment option on that as well. First payment when you make the purchase, the next payment 30 days later. And there's always a 30-day money back guarantee here on BTO because we want to make sure that this is just a no-brainer for you. There's no regrets. It's not a lot to think about. Dive in. And if it doesn't work within 30 days, if you're not feeling it, no questions asked, just return it. With Theresa, you're not going to want to return it. We have so many BTO Theresa fans. It's crazy.
And they're all of these things will be live. So then you can replay them if you want. You'll have the replays, but they'll all be live.
Well, and this is so great. So you get the Miracles Everyday Meditation package. There's a live 3-part course of meeting the archangels, which happened in July. You get a live Q&A wellness for love warriors. Yes, Theresa and the angels, anything. That's in July. And then you have the Angel Transformation Hour live in August as well. Again, so this is big. And I love this meditation package also because you're bringing in the meditation for becoming. And it was one thing becoming where we thought we knew where we were becoming into something, but what are we becoming into now? This is a whole different conversation, a whole nother show. So that meditation, and I can just see what it's prompting in dream time. And as we process and integrate with it, what that alone can do for stabilizing and clarifying and letting go of anxiety of what we're supposed to be becoming and allowing it to just be.
Yeah.
There's a meditation journey with Divine Mother, which love that you bring that in. And then clearing our earth-based chakras to crystalline. That's just in the Miracles Everyday Meditation package. And y'all can go down the other items further to see what else you're going to get in the live calls, in the workshops. And if you haven't already clicked buy, if you read through this, there's no way you're going to say that you're not going to do this after you read what shows up. And Theresa, again, I hear just all the time from people who have taken her courses. I'm in Theresa's course. I'm getting so much of it. Theresa said this. I'm following Theresa's meditation. She told me to do this other thing. It's really helping me. So that's why Theresa Vee is opening up our season this year. I cannot think of a better stabilizing force and love for all of us to step upon in the most beautiful way as she offers her love and support so that, again, we can all just really thrive
Yeah.
during these times. So y'all, again, it's $97. There's a 2 payment option. The link is in the chat box here in the Zoom box, or go to beyondtheordinaryshow.com/Theresa25. And Theresa, were you going to say something? Did I interrupt? Was something coming up?
No, well, just really what I was feeling when you were talking is like my joy comes from seeing everyone living their purpose and having more joy and being more grounded in their experience here, because we've all chosen this beautiful planet. And it's like when we can feel safe here and enjoy that experience, it makes me so happy to see what we create, because we're all miracle workers here. And it just gives me such joy and gratitude.
You're so good at it too. It's amazing. So thank you. All right. I want to get into the 1 minute meditation a little bit later, Theresa.
No, don't worry
But
about it. We'll
I
get to it if and when.
want to open up to Q&A. And if y'all would turn on your video when I call on you, that would be wonderful. And find your unmute button now. You'll see it on your screen, your little microphone is, so that when I call on you, you don't have to fumble through trying to find it as we get into live calls with everybody. So the first caller I want to take, let's go to Jenna. Jenna, welcome to BTO. And
Oh,
yeah,
hi there. Oh my
Hi.
gosh, I can't believe I've never gone live. I've listened to your show many, many times, but this is the first time live, and then I get called the first time.
that's awesome.
Crazy. Yeah, well, I appreciate both of you so much. And Theresa, I guess my question is, which angels are resonating with me now? And if there's any messages they have for me regarding a potential move or the relationship that I'm in, I'd like feedback on that if possible.
Just the simple things.
I know, I made it easy for you.
Okay, thanks. So I feel 2 angels predominantly with you now. It's interesting because I don't necessarily feel like these are the ones that you're connected to through your etheric DNA, but right now I feel Archangel Gabriel with you very strongly. It feels like you've really been working on your communication in relationships, especially with close people to you. So I'm seeing that. And it also feels like, I don't know if you've been writing. It just feels like there's creative energy that's been coming through you. Yeah. Then second angel I feel with you is Archangel Metatron. And Metatron very often shows up. So the first thing I heard when he called on you was you've been working on your manifestation. So Metatron shows up for us when we need to have a different relationship with time. When time doesn't necessarily make a whole lot of sense to us and we know it's not a real thing, but we're not quite sure how to rectify that with our experience here. And so Metatron leads very often those of us who are the way showers and the dismantlers. And so it feels interestingly like Metatron is finding you your next place to be, because it feels like not only do you need to be in a different space, you need to be in a different energy. Like the ground beneath you needs to resonate differently than where you are now. So I literally see Metatron with a little shovel, like digging in and seeing what kind of crystals are under the ground, so it feels like you just get divinely guided and you're like, I know where we need to be. Does that make sense?
Yes, it really does. I appreciate that so much. Thank you.
And thanks for calling in, and blessings to you.
Thanks.
Like on all your
thank you.
all your moves.
I know.
Exciting.
Okay. Take care.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, let's go to our next caller. Mary Arnell. Hi, welcome. And we'll need it. No, we can't hear you right now.
Okay.
Oh, there you are. Oh, no.
We had you there.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
And welcome.
Okay. When you were talking about things being dismantled and the patriarchy leaving, I'm involved in the Sundance ceremony, which I have questioned if I should continue that, because I feel it's predominantly controlled by the men, and it just, I'm really questioning if I should continue with that process.
Okay, so first of all, I just want to say, just by looking at you while you're talking about this, I can see that you've already made a decision. You've already felt into what feels true to you. So that feels important to note. It also feels like the word should has been a thing in your life, and it feels like it's time to let that word just fly out the window, because you don't have to do anything. It's would it feel good for you to continue being part of that, and there is no should, there is no right or wrong around this. It's what would make you happy, what would make you fulfilled from your heart. And if you can be the force of holding the divine feminine there, if that's what you feel called to do, great. If you feel called to just do something else because this isn't resonating for you anymore, then that's okay too. So it just feels like lighten up on yourself a little bit and move into, is this in my joy anymore? Does that make sense? Yeah. You have such a gorgeous energy. So I just want to say that too. You just have this gorgeous radiance, and anything that seeks to put a lid on that is no longer in your joy. You need to bring that out into the world because it's so beautiful.
Mm.
No.
We lost your audio for a second.
Yeah.
But that smile when you
Thank
came
you.
on, that smile when you came on, again, when you came on with the questions, very somber and very serious. And then you got into this place of softness, and that softness shifted something in me. And I just wanted to point that out. And I'm wondering what that softness wants to shift in others if you're choosing to be of service, and where that can come through. So thank you for your smile, and thank you for your question. Yeah, so beautiful. Okay, let's go to our next caller. I hope I'm pronouncing this right. Dr. Juanice?
Yes,
Dr.
Janice.
Janice. Janice, welcome.
Hi, how are you all?
Wonderful, thank you. What's your question for Theresa tonight?
Teresa, you talked about we're all shifting, and what we embody or what we had, that's moving. So I embody love, always have, nurturing, very much so a nurturer. And that's always been very difficult in our present realm of the 3D. And before the feminine could be introduced, it was always, never really appreciated. And of course, some of our pieces of our heart can get kind of closed off because it's always rejected. So as it moves now, and my purpose moving a little away from the heart and that love energy into something new.
So do you feel it's moving, or do you?
I'm frustrated.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really interesting because it feels like there's a couple things happening. It just feels like you've had to fight to bring love through for so long. And it's like, how do I do it without the fight? Like, there's that first question. And it also feels like, have you had a lot of experiences with bloating in the abdomen?
Oh God, yes.
Yeah, because it feels like it's almost like what you used to do was take people's energy in and incubate it in your womb.
Yes.
So that you could turn it into something else and then birth it through for them. And it's like, now what's happening for those of us who used to have to operate in that way is universe saying, nope, no more, because using your energy at that level isn't serving the whole. We need you fully energized. We need you. So it's like, okay, now the question is, how can I be a force of love from a place where it doesn't have to take all of my energy, where I can stand in my full energy and just radiate that love that comes to me. You can see it. It's coming through you infinitely through the universe right now. How can I just radiate that and not have to work so hard? And now what's going to happen is you're going to have all this energy left over to do other things. So what are those other things going to be?
Yes, that's exciting. Good to know. Because of course, as things move, you wonder, am I should be even loving anymore? Like, I want to be so powerful and have all that yang.
Mhm.
That yin is so there, unfortunately.
There's nothing more powerful than love.
Of course.
Mhm.
Yeah, nothing.
I
And
totally-
yeah, and it's beautiful because I see you moving from the servant energy a little bit into the regal queen. So you
Yes.
stand in that now much more powerfully, and people are going to learn how to radiate love and stand in their own sovereignty just by seeing what you do.
Yes.
Mm.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So wonderful. Thank you so much for calling in. And
Thank
Theresa,
you.
you bring up a very important point. And just to paraphrase, and Juanita, I want to remind you as well that we are being called into our mastery.
Yeah.
And for all of us who are compassionate, empathic, that know that love is really the way, to own that more than ever before in the world where it seems confusing or not accepted, or that we're rejected because our interpretation can't be spoken in a way that we can feel it, perhaps.
Right.
But to know, to have that trust, that wisdom, that's the teacher and the master within us, and that's what's really being called forward in all of us in a bigger way than we have dared to express it.
Yeah.
So big shifts that are coming in around that. Thank you so much for calling in. This is wonderful. Let's get to another caller. I'm having fun with the live calls. Michelle, let's go to, oh, you were going to say something, Theresa?
No, I was just laughing because they're fun.
Michelle, let's go to you. Welcome.
Hi.
Hi.
So awesome that you're back on. I'm so excited for this season. This is amazing. And this call is resonating with me so much. So I guess my question would be, I've been receiving messages and guidance that I really like resonate with. And do you have advice on bringing in the executionary guides, right? Like the organization and execute, because I feel like in the human experience, I'm so good at like that part, but like haven't had so far, like usually I just team up with the person or, you know, and we go execute it together. But, you know, is there a way to channel that in, or do you feel anything that you can share with me that would be helpful?
Yeah. So first of all, you can ask for help with all of that. So either the right person will be brought to you if it is to be, you know, human to human teamwork. But for you, I feel very much Archangel Metatron. So archangels like Metatron and Sandalphon, most of the archangels end in IEL, like Michael, you know, AEL, IEL, Ariel, Raphael, Gabriel. The ones that don't, like Metatron and Sandalphon, those are the ones that have walked this planet embodied. So they know what it's like to have boots on the ground, right? So they can help us from the archangelic perspective as well as from the human perspective. And Metatron helps, above all else, helps people who maybe resonate with being indigo, maybe don't, but who need help with organization and time and space. That's his specialty. And Sandalphon for you feels like almost like a sentinel standing there, like a foreman almost standing there and holding the energy and making sure all of the pieces fall into place exactly where they should. So that feels like a good team for you. It feels like you're a trio for now, and they'll bring in anyone else who's needed.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Awesome.
Michelle, I want to ask you, in the energies that you're asking for and the assistance to carry out, do you feel like you're like prompted to start something, but you just can't get going, or you don't have the inspiration to bring something in? Because I can relate to certain aspects of this, and I'm wondering where it falls. Yeah.
Yes, it's all there. It's just the execution. It's just the maybe confidence and but I guess then when I ask myself, then I kind of know the answers, right? It's kind of like trust the process, trust yourself, you know. But so I guess mainly just the execution.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's interesting because Teresa, I want to ask you because there's a fine line between getting inspiration to do something and procrastination, and then listening to when the right time may be,
Yeah.
and navigating what's true in either one of those.
It's always a combination, right? So there's always going to be a combination. But the thing that I see for sensitives is the overwhelm. Like that's the number one thing. And when we look at when we look at the big picture and we don't chunk it down into steps, that's when we just go into paralysis. So the first thing is to sort of chunk it down into steps and then ask for guidance and support, you know. So we could have the best idea, but if we have no idea technically how to execute it, and we just don't even know where to look, then it's not going to happen. So what we need to do is say, okay, what can the first step be? So maybe it's find somebody to help, you know, or maybe it's, oh, just learn how to do this one piece today, because that's all you need to do today. So that's really it. And then divine timing will take over. But what's needed for divine timing to take over is us to show that we are willing to take action. You know, it's that forward momentum that we need to take so that universe can swoop in and be the wind at our back.
And that's fantastic. And I've had bursts of the paralysis, then taking action. It felt like something was moving forward, but then the paralysis would kick in again. And I would do enough as like, and kind of put it aside for whatever reason, mostly probably the overwhelm. How can we get into a consistency with it, with that divine timing aspect, without losing ourselves to what can seem so like such an overburdening field of energy?
So my question to you is, was it paralysis, or was it that it needed to be put on pause so that some other energy could move so that you could take your next level? So it could be either of those things. It could be paralysis, and maybe sometimes we get tired. It's just like, this doesn't feel like it's going anywhere, so I'm going to put it on the shelf, and then I trust that universe will tell me when it's time to bring it back down, you know. Or sometimes it's, you can't go any further right now because you need to clear up this other stuff, or
Right.
you need to learn this other piece, and then when that's done, then we can move forward. So it could be any of those things, you know. So the invitation is okay, which one is it, you know? And am I willing just to surrender and say, okay, show me when it's time, and you know, to take the littlest action when we're guided to.
Right. I think that's wonderful. And I think that's part of the frustration, the despair of what's a lot of the energy that's happening now, and the stale energy that I've been feeling, that there's that in between. And is it overwhelm? Is it paralysis? Am I supposed to be waiting and not knowing, and just getting frustrating and tired and just not wanting to deal with any of it?
Right.
So it's alive. It's alive in so many people. Not in everybody, but in so many people. Teresa, your special offer, what components in your special offer can help with an aspect of this? Because I'm aware that this is coming up for so many.
I know it's so, first of all, the meditations, absolutely. I mean, I guess every component can help in its own way. It's really what resonates for you. And when we meet with the angels, you'll be able to develop a relationship with them and figure out who to call on for what, and who you resonate with, and how you know that guidance is present, you know. And then the Q&A for the angels, or for me, like those kinds of things can help also. It really depends on what you need at the time, but each of those things can help move some of this energy in its own way, you know. I had no idea when we were putting this together that this was going to be where we are, but it's where we find ourselves. And this is an example of the angels and universe always anticipate our needs. Our needs are always anticipated, and the support is there for us before we even know what our needs are. and we just need to be open to allowing it in and to let ourselves be vulnerable enough to say, I need some help here.
I love that you said support is always there before we know support's there. That brings me into this place that we don't know, but the truth is we really do know, but we don't know. And it's just this paradox that's working that we're in. And so many of us are just so freaking tired. But again, I love that you put
Tired.
this
So tired.
because that supports and that connection, the live support, especially like the community and like, I can breathe into this. I feel like I've been holding my head underwater for so long.
I know.
I can pick myself up and talk to others who are not only resonating, but through the energetics of the resonance, we really provide the amplification to pop through the bubble that we may be experiencing. So this is phenomenal. The special offer, again, it's in the chat box. Click on the link. You know where to find it now. $97, 2 payment option, 30-day money back guarantee. I just wanted to bring it up again because this is a fantastic offer from Theresa that I hope you take advantage of. Michelle, thank you so much for your question and for being on the show. And let's go to our next live caller, Tracy. Welcome to the call.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. I'm sitting here trying to think about what I want to ask, and I really resonated with a lot of what Michelle was talking about. I think that, even when you said about divine timing, Teresa, I tend to be always pushing and controlling and trying to make things happen maybe before the time is there. And then I get really frustrated because I want to give so much more than what I feel like I have. And then I can get honest with myself and sit back and look at all that I've done. So, but there's still that longing and desire, and I don't know how to get really clear with direction and timing and confidence. It is all everything that you've just been talking about, and sometimes I need to settle in. And I guess I'm looking for some clarity on how I can be patient and at the same time know when patience isn't what I need and I need to start, putting myself out there. And how can I get that assistance in doing that? I guess I don't know if that's a real clear question. It's more of just like how I'm feeling right now. So.
Oh, it's super clear and it's really beautiful. And I'm just laughing because patience. So what I feel for you, what the angels are showing me for you, is really working on grounding, really working on staying grounded, remaining grounded, doing the things that bring you joy. That's first and foremost, because it feels like that's when you can get your clarity and get your clear messaging. They're showing me you just have this ginormous heart that wants to heal the world, that wants to, just help and be of service and make everything better. And so they're showing me this experience. So when they show me my own experience, I have to share it. There was something I was guided to over 15 years ago that it was like, yeah, you're going to do this, not the time, okay, well, thanks. So it's been over 15 years. And last year I got the message, yes, now. And I was like, no, not now. Global pandemic, not now, and then this year it was like, okay, now. And so the patience comes with just the trust that divine timing will happen. And for you, I see like you're looking at, somewhere inside of you what the big picture looks like. And it feels like you're going to be called into smaller aspects of that big picture, one at a time until you get there. And so it's just about, okay, I know what this looks like. And where am I being guided now? And so it's almost like blazing the path to that. And I see you starting that right now. Like I feel like your time of being patient is over. Do what you need to do to bring yourself joy. Do what you need to do to get grounded and listen into your body. And then the guidance just comes like that and you're off like a rocket. That's what I see for you.
Okay.
How does that feel?
It's really, it's funny that you say that because so I'm 52 years old and I know I knew since I mean, I can remember being in like 3rd grade, like, you know, life tapping, like even before that, like life tapping me as to like what I'm supposed to be doing. And it's just been this long path and this long, like, and I tried to keep justifying. It's like, okay, I had to learn all this. I have to do all this to get there. And it's just like, okay, well, when? And it's like, am I at those excuses, or, you know what I'm saying? So it's just trying to figure out, maybe I need to stop thinking. You know?
No, the world was not ready for you the way you're bringing this in. Like the world had to get ready for what you've known your whole life your purpose was. And you did all of that so you could hold it at the level of energy that you are holding it now. And you will be holding it as you move forward. But the world couldn't receive it until now. Right. So this is why it's opening, because it's not just about us. It's about those who need to receive what we have to bring as well. And if you're going to get frustrated at them because it took them so long to catch on. But this is just for you to understand, you really did a lot of energetic work to get here. So you're not just doing it half-heartedly. You are fully showing up, and you, it's not just going to be like this ray of light like this. It's going to be a pillar of light that you're anchoring. And so just trust your process. I literally see the angels putting one stone in front of the other, and helping you to make the path.
Mm.
Thank you.
Tracy, if it makes you feel any better, when I was young, ever since I was young, I heard from guys you're gonna be a late bloomer. And late bloomer, I didn't know what that was. And I kept hearing 48, 48, 48, 48. And this is in my teens, my early teens, late teens and 20s. It's like, you're gonna start blooming when you're about 48. And it's like, okay, well,
That's what you want to hear in your teens.
what do I do until then? And I'm 54 now, right? But I really felt the shift around 48, but my guides were so specific. With the number. My guides were specific in how long I'd be married and be divorced. They gave me 18 years. It was 17 years and 51 weeks. It's things like this that would come up. So it's just being in that. And of course, even when we get to that point, we're still evolving and growing into an unknown, but knowing that you're not off. And I just wanted to give you that story from my perspective, what my experience was, so that you don't feel so alone in this. And if we're getting the same type of messages in different places, something is on point. There's something there for us, especially by the company that you keep and the people who share the similar stories that you're sharing as well. So keep a pulse on that. And I have to ask you, what brings you joy?
What brings me joy?
Theresa said to be in your joy. What brings you joy?
What brings me joy is connecting with people on a higher level, and just being able to really, you know, I'm an empath, just like being able to share their feelings and giving them, it's really connection. It's connection with people. Like what I do, when I work with people, it's like I feel very honored that they're able to open up and share with me on the level they do so quickly. And that's my biggest joy is that connection, you know. So
wonderful. Oh, I can so relate to that. What else brings you joy? So we get that. Me too. I get it. I so understand that. What brings you joy?
My children. Yeah, maybe.
It's funny. I tend to be myopic in that also. It's like the connection and my kids, and being very intimate with a very select group of people and friends. And that's kind of what lights me up as well. So I love that you explain it and didn't find like if you found all these things, fantastic, but there's nothing wrong with having very specifics that brings you up. And my invitation for you is that to be in that joy, there's nothing that's getting in your way of that right now. And so if you take that joy and then take it that one step at a time, like Theresa's suggesting, and use what you have and trust that more will be given, you're totally on your way.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you for calling in.
There's
Theresa?
something here with the trees also. There's something about trees. So I don't know if you like trees, but I feel the trees have some sort of message for you. So even if you maybe go outside and just sit under a tree, there's something there for you.
Yeah, that's a theme in my life for whatever reason, and I never really understood why, but it's always been about trees. I don't know. It's kind of
I love
funny you
it.
said that. Kind of funny. Yeah.
It's not funny, it's a message.
So that's funny.
Tracy, thanks for calling in.
Thank you.
Blessings too. Yes. Wonderful. All right, let's go to another caller, and then I think we'll get into our 1-minute meditation tea. Chris, let's go to you now. Hi. And welcome.
Hi there.
Hi.
Hi. I wanted to ask a little earlier, you were speaking with John and you made the distinction between trust and faith. And I was wondering if you could clarify that a little bit. And then I have sort of a second part of that question.
Yeah, it's just really vocabulary, and it's what works for us. So for me, faith involves believing in something, like it involves a belief. And for me also, trust means knowing that my needs are anticipated and cared for. So it's almost like it's the next level for me that goes from faith. Like I know it's going to be okay. Well, I believe it's going to be okay to I know it's going to be okay.
Okay.
And see, and Theresa and I have opposing views about this, but it's interpretation on semantics.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's what works for you.
Right, it's what works for you. So it's one.
The reason I asked is I was doing a meditation the other morning and struggling in my marriage, and was really asking for some guidance, around this. And I have young children, and just how to proceed from where we are. And it just kept kind of coming in, and I did some automatic writing after the meditation, and just kept being that I've lost faith, and that the sadness is part of the love, but the love is big because I've lost faith. And so I just tried to sit with that some more. And then I had the good fortune of sitting with a woman who did a soul portrait of me, and she, did all these colors and the portrait or whatever, and then she just wrote trust across the page. And I just was kind of struck by that. But I was wondering if the angels could give me some guidance, like a little deeper guidance on maybe more just detail.
Yeah. So it feels like you're being called to just walk in this moment in faith and trust, like both, trust that everything is going to be okay, and keep the faith where it needs to be placed in yourself and in the power of relationship, even if that ends up not being this one, right? It feels like that's very important for you as a person. I feel several different angels in your home. It just feels like each of you has your own archangel that resonates the most. And so I see Archangel Michael huge, like basically watching over the home, and I see other angels in the mix. And it just feels like, don't be afraid to call on them. Archangel Gabriel can help you with the communication. Archangel Michael can help with protection and making sure that the kids are okay. And Archangel Ariel can protect the children emotionally and love them up while all of this is going on. So it just feels like this time really needs to be about you going inside and deciding, not from the mind, but from the heart, what feels true to you now and what you need and what you deserve. And then being a stand for that from within and letting the circumstances in the outside world align themselves to meet you there. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Beautiful. Chris, blessings too.
Okay, thank you so much.
Theresa, can I give her something to do with the angels?
Go for it. Absolutely.
Chris, I feel like your heart needs to be held.
Yeah.
I just do. It's comes across so strongly, and that's just the empath. So allow yourself to curl up in bed, turn on some music that's just beautiful and angelic, and at the very least allow the angels to hold you in your heart as you lay there and feel their presence, and give yourself that good cry and just know that you're so loved. so taken care of, as is your children and your husband. And just, but for you to be held and gift yourself the receiving of the angels holding you. If nobody else, if you can at least receive that,
Thank you.
that'll be so soothing.
Yeah.
All right, love. Thank you for calling in.
Thank you.
And you're very brave for, we're all very brave for being vulnerable in a place like this. And I'm just smiling as I'm listening, not because any of this is funny, but because the angels are showing me that we're also resonating with you, that when you do go to bed and you curl up and you do this, every one of the people here is going to be curled up with you and really supporting you through this. So
Oh,
we really
yes.
forget how interconnected we all are. So you're not alone. We're all going to be right there with you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chris. Mhm. Teresa, well, we're going to get into the meditation. I want to remind y'all again of Teresa's special offer. It's the links in the chat box, the live calls, the meditation package. You already know the pricing on it. Curl up with Teresa and the angels in these calls, and just allow yourself to be held and loved in the process. And with that, Teresa, if you would, I'd love for you to guide us through the meditation.
Great. So this meditation is designed to reset your nervous system. Okay. It's only 1 minute and you can do it up to 10 times a day. And it will take exactly. So what we're going to do first is we're going to breathe. You're going to inhale deeply and exhale deeply 30 times in a row. That'll take 30 seconds. And then we're just going to let our eyes close. You may want to close your eyes while we're breathing. Be in the stillness. Let your breath return to normal. You may not feel the need to breathe. Just be where you are. Be in the stillness. If you feel dizzy doing this, it's because your brain isn't used to getting oxygen, right? So after a couple of days, you won't feel dizzy doing this anymore. But I want you to experience this because 1 minute is all it takes to reset all of the things we've been talking about this whole call, in terms of our physical system. Okay. So we're going to, if you have a tissue, you might just want to make sure, your nose is clean. And then we're going to breathe deeply 30 times together. So and just let your breath return to normal. Be in the stillness. Okay. How are you feeling?
Oh my goodness. Amazing.
Yeah.
What a beautiful reset. Y'all come back and listen to the replay. Come back to this meditation over and over. Record it if you need to on your phone and use it as a daily practice. Wow, I love this. It's just, again, I was feeling just the peacefulness, but my brain being activated at the same time also.
And there's like energy moving, it's so 1 minute up to 10 times a day. This will help also eliminate exhaustion, cravings, stress, mood swings. Being calm takes energy, right? And where we've all been, we've all shared it. We're not in a place of calm. So we don't have enough energy to get calm, right? So this is a cycle we've been continuously going through. It rejuvenates our nervous system, and being exhausted actually prevents us from sleeping well, because sleeping well takes being calm, takes energy. So this depletion, this exhaustion has just been perpetuating this more exhaustive cycle. So this can actually help turn that around fairly quickly. And I wouldn't do this necessarily like an hour before bedtime. I would do my last set an hour and a half at least before bedtime.
Fantastic. So powerful. I love how it comes in and what it did to my nervous system as well. What an amazing call. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for starting off season 25 with just a bang. And really for setting the standard for what's to come for the rest of the summer season here. And also what's to come in your special offer and those live calls and meditations that you're providing. Amazing. It's always wonderful to be here.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. It's been such a pleasure. And thank you all for being here and being you.
Yes, thank you everybody, all for your energy, your love, just who you're being, and just, again, just know that you're being held. Know that you're being held. Remember that always. If you ever get to the point where you feel lost, alone, confused, just come back and just hear my voice. Carry it in your pocket, pull it out, and just say, oh yeah, John, Theresa reminded me that I'm always being held. And with that, I send you all so many blessings, all my love, and look forward to seeing you on the next call. Have a great evening.